Good day, guys. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so very much for being here. Appreciate you, Killian. Book of Killian back at it again with another episode. It's going to go through the chat. Say hello to the family. Riggs, I see you. Etherbird, hello. And Nuke, I hope all is well with you, my friends. And again, thank you so very much for being here. I hope all is well. Today's episode is called Gravity versus Statics. I was gonna jump into this now. Jackie, good day. Hello. Thanks for being here, my friend. I hope all's well. I hope you're back home safe and sound after your journey. Um, can't wait to hear about it when you have an opportunity. We will definitely chat. All is well. How are you doing? I'm great, Anouk. Thank you very much for asking. I greatly appreciate it. What's up, guys? Got some little ghost face going on today. A little heightened exposure. But yeah, gravity versus statics. Figured I'd take an opportunity. I've been engaging quite a bit with friends over on Discord, so doing a lot of conversation back and forth, and have been yielding some forward progress and thought. I had a great conversation with a guy called Brian Leakey last night. He's I wouldn't say a heavyweight, but he's been at this for a bit within the whole realm of what this place is. So we threw some ideas around. I was able to formulate some additional thought, and I actually took my initial presentation. I was able to unpack it and make it a little bit more, I'd say, intuitive. No, I used intuition to make it a little bit more user friendly, if you will. So we're going to venture forward into this. I hope it is something that works out for you guys. Um, Good to stuff. I'm glad to hear it, Jackie. Here's the first piece of the presentation. This is just a video shared that I was able to grab from another channel here on YouTube. I have to give credit accordingly. Yeah, I'll give the shout out in a second. I didn't write down my credits. I apologize on that, guys. But here we go. This one's called Realize What You've Lost. So here we have a guy running behind a child on a single-wheeled bike with handlebars. The only thing that I could possibly formulate is that this is an electric device, an electric bike of a sort. Here we have a moving sidewalk, right? Our friends on the left-hand side are stationary. Friends on the right-hand side are, in fact, rolling by on a sliding or moving sidewalk, if you will. Here you have a roof-mounted rail with cars that are like, let's call it a monorail type system. So you have the rail above with the cars sliding by below. And then, of course, waterways, boats using the medium to transport. Note the architecture. What's really interesting with these buildings is they appear to be monolithic structures, right? One solid structure, whether it's concrete block maybe that was put in place and parged for this amazing smoothness, but a lot of this stuff is monolithic in nature, which is interesting. Oh boy. Oops. Ah, I tried to pause it and I monkeyed it up. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. There we go. So here's the same, well, it's a bit not the same, but it will say principle, but a bigger version of the bike that we saw in the first clip. Right? You've got the rolling mechanism on the exterior, and the dude on the inside, he's got the handlebars in hand and some kind of a engine propelling mechanism. There's a big, look at this. I didn't even take this one in last night when I showed it initially, but my gosh, this, wow. 2 riders surrounded in a complete cage of scooters, blimp transport. This one's interesting because here you have these 2 gentlemen who are piloting this walking machine. Note the legs. Watch these car wheels. Scoops. Yeah, these wheels just completely went like this and turned like that. What are your thoughts on the axle? Ah, oh, dang it. I ain't done yet. Sorry. Let's start hitting spacebar. Where were we? I am so sorry about that, guys. I apologize profusely. There we go. Right here. And a 180-degree turn. And a half circle. Ain't no 3-point turns here. Parallel parking. Wow. I'll take it. Gimme. Car lift system. Germany, eat your heart out. Yo, Chris, what's happening, homie? Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, check out the architecture, man. Hope all is well with you and the family, Chris. Monolithic structures, high spires, over here you have, this is something that's really interesting. Over here you have a cityscape. All of these eaves troughs are all lit. Right? The high antennas are all lit. How did they do this? Is this one circuit? Because if this is one complete circuit, direct current, if one of those bulbs falls out, the whole line falls out. I don't know. It's like Christmas lights, right? I don't think these things worked on the same premise as Christmas lights. So then I'm thinking, okay, how do you start lighting these high roof lines, if you will, eaves troughs? Oh, we're going to talk about balloons. We're going to talk about some balloons. It's part of my observations. Ooh.
We realized early.
We've got some audio coming up in a quick sec, but what I want to show you guys real quick is... Sorry about the noise. This. So, this is how they moved around the ether in the old world, right? Blimp technology, riding the medium. The blimp would pull up to the spire of the building, dock, if you will. Mouth would open up. Now, this is one that was like a bridge system in the mouth of the blimp. Some of them have the body beneath the body of the blimp, and that sits underneath, so that would dock. Sometimes they would drop out lines, and they would use the lines to pull them in closer. In any case, the draw bridge, if you will, the bridge opens up, the mouth opens up, and the people get loaded in, and that would be their docking point. And how would it work? So you have all these buildings with, again, spires through their center column, and the people would walk up and down these spires, the staircases, to get onto these blimps.
We realized early in the process within social media that people react to before and after pictures. If you find a very ugly building in the city and then you go to the city archives, you might find a picture of what was there before. That's a very talking image in terms of what we used to have and what we have now. And that effect makes people angry, because they realize they lost something they never knew they had.
All right, so getting into the crux of today's presentation, the meat and potatoes, introducing the meniscus. Don't know if you guys are familiar with the idea of the meniscus or not, but there's two meniscuses, if you will, present in real life. You have the meniscus, which sits in your knee. You see here the tibia, that's your shin bone, and this is your patella, which is your kneecap. And then in here you have this thing called the meniscus, which is the spongy jelly-like thing that a lot of athletes will tear, rupture, whatever. And then you have the femur, which is the thigh bone. It comes down, it all connects, and this is the sponge that allows your knee to function and bend. Now there's another meniscus, and that is to do with medium itself, or the liquid. Looking at the medium itself in a cross section, you'll see this line right here. This shows the curve of the water, right, making it a concave meniscus. This curve itself, called the meniscus, is the thing. It's a result of the water interacting with the containment unit that it's within. So the water, in terms of the confines of this presentation, the water gets poured into the containment unit, and then it kind of spreads out, and it pushes itself against the containment unit that it's within. Whereas mercury has a different viscosity than water. it has a convex meniscus. So its meniscus curves outwards, as shown in the picture. Now, how is the force exerted? So here we have a containment unit. Let's just call this a swimming pool. Let's call this maybe 10 feet deep. This water fills the containment unit, and this pressure of the water is exerted on the outside of this containment unit. Now you can look up a description or a definition of hydrostatic pressure as an example, and hydrostatic pressure will be applied to this, and then they will also say that gravity is built into that hydrostatic pressure that's being applied to this containment unit that it's within. Thing is, when I look at a ball and what let's say a basketball, which is full of air, how a basketball interacts with a 10-foot deep pool, I know that if I put that basketball on top of the water, it'll float like this. And I then know if I take that basketball and I shove it down into the containment unit, there's nothing that's holding the basketball down. No. But I do know there's a force being applied to the basketball, because as soon as I release it, it shoots up to the level of the water. And sometimes, depending on how much force is actually being applied to that ball, that basketball will actually leave the level of the water. It goes way up above the water and then comes back down. Fine. So again, hydrostatic pressure, being cognizant of how it's applied. I went to my understandings of buildings and building science and how hydrostatic pressure is applied to foundation walls as an example. Leaky basements are something that a lot of people are unfortunately familiar with, because the building science is not a perfect thing, and should I say contracting is not a perfect thing either. But we do know that through when water is present and a void space is present, right? So when we dig for a house, we create a void in the firm soil, and then we put foundations in place to help keep that void open, and then obviously apply insulation, vapor membrane, all kinds of things to the interior to make sure that that's a warm and safe space. But when there's water present, water will be present, or let's say water is present, water will apply itself directly to that foundation wall, and it will attempt to infiltrate that foundation wall, which you'll lead to insulation becoming moldy, things of that nature. So hydrostatic pressure is something we know that gets applied from all sides. Now, when we look at hydrostatics and hydrostatic pressure, this is something I pulled directly off of the Googles, just so I could be as transparent as possible, just to say, because again, I'm stepping back from gravity on its face, and I'm just saying, okay, show me how you operate gravity, just so I can understand you and understand how this whole thing works. So hydrostatic pressure, a column of fluid has a weight. Weight is a force due to gravity. Weight is a force due to gravity. Fine. So if we take a cup of water, or let's just take an empty cup. We live at a beach house. We're at water's level at the beach. We know at the beach, because we're at sea level, that the measured barometric pressure is 14.7 pounds per square inch. That's measured and verified with a barometer. Now, I can take that cup, that empty cup, and I can be specific and say it's an empty cup, but I can also say that that cup is full of air. Empty cup, there's nothing in it, but I know that the air is all around me because it's there. 14.7 psi measured per barometer, verified. Okay? Okay. So then I go to the faucet, open the faucet, and I start filling that containment unit with water. And that water starts to displace the other medium, which is the gas, right? So now I'm filling that containment unit, that cup, with a medium that is more dense than air, right? Because water is more dense than air. I'm filling that up. That water is displacing the gas, pushing it out. The cup is being filled with water. The gas comes out. The water goes in. The gas comes out. I then know that that cup is heavier than it was before. It was empty. It was full of air before. Now I filled it with water, and it has a greater weight. So I would then go, let's say I take myself, I go over to, and guys, I'm being very specific, just bear with me. Then go over to a scale, and I weigh that cup of water. That cup of water has a weight to it. I step on the scale. I verify that I also have a weight associated with it, right? So I have my own weight. The cup of water has its own weight. Gravity shows up and says, that's where I'm hiding. I'm hiding myself, this force called gravity, within your weight. This is where I am. Okay, I'm the thing that's being identified as gravity is the acceleration, or sorry, G is the acceleration due to gravity, right? So I am hiding this inside of the weight of the thing, right? 170 pounds, whatever. Me, this cup of water weighs, I don't know, I can't even guess. 100 grams. Just call it out. Fine. Now, I'm just going to park the idea of gravity for a moment, right? Because I'm still saying that these individual objects, the cup of water and myself, both have a weight. Okay? I'm not saying that there's a force just yet. I'm still investigating. I'm sussing out how gravity exists. Hit me up in the comments if you guys are with me so far. Now, having said all that, I present to you 3 gravity-defying devices. One of them is natural. The first 2 I have for you is an elevator, a lift system, which I know that elevating system has a motor to it. It gets serviced. There are moving parts to it, conveyor system, so on and so forth. That elevating system generates power, and that's how it moves its weight. If that doesn't get power or that's out of service, that elevator does not work. It cannot defy the laws of gravity. Okay? Okay. Then I've got stairs. I know that my muscles, my heart, they all work together. My heart pumps the blood. My muscles work, right? I oxygenate, I breathe, I infuse those muscles. Sorry, guys. I infuse those muscles, infuse those muscles with the things they need, their fuel to work, and then I climb the stairs. And as I climb the stairs, I'm displacing gravity. Okay? And then as I come back down the stairs, I'm replacing gravity. Okay? But again, the force that I'm working against, my muscles are working against that, right? And my muscles are the ones that are doing the work. The muscles are the thing that's doing the work. Okay? Fine. Then I go to the apple tree that your boy Newton got hit in the head with, or the apple that fell from the apple tree. We take a seed, we plant that seed in the earth, that seed sprouts, boom, it grows into a tree, right? branches come out, leaves come out, the apple comes out, and eventually when that apple is ripe for picking, or the the stem that was once holding the apple gets brittle enough, it breaks off and the apple falls. So someone would ask, did that apple come from the seed? Or did it come from the tree? And did the tree release the apple so that the apple would fall? Or did gravity pull the apple away from the tree because of a force that is always there? Okay? Okay. Here comes the question about static charge. We all, again, remember, we go back to the idea that I presented earlier, that I take a basketball, I shove it 10 feet deep into a pool, I release that basketball springs up out of the water. Number one, it travels up the 10 feet. It hits the level of the water, it shoots out of the water, and then it comes back and it lands on the water. Bounces, whatever, waves are created, etc. Right? But there is an energy that the basketball displays after I use my energy to displace it. So I'm taking it, using my muscles, I'm pushing it down 10 feet, and then I'm releasing that that potential energy that I've created. I'm releasing it as kinetic energy. That basketball is going up and then coming back down. When that energy is done working, the basketball rests and the medium, the water, absorbs it, and then the waves are created. Fine. I take that same basketball 50 feet up into the air, I drop it, I see that the reverse happens. It drops to the surface and then it bounces. And then at some point, it comes to a rest and stops. Based on the description of hydrostatic pressure, the definition, they built in gravity. Why is it the ball defied gravity, came back up when I released it? Because the ball itself has the property of buoyancy built into it, because it is a buoyant device, because it carries air within it. Right? Okay. Shout out to this picture. I found it. Pretty proud of the picture because it shows static charge. Again, we know about balloons as children. We've interacted with them before. We take a balloon, we use our own medium, our own CO2, right? We inhale oxygen, we breathe out CO2, carbon dioxide. Breathe. We blow up the balloon with CO2, we tie it off, and then we drop it. And it goes to the bottom, it goes to the floor. Then our friend the clown comes over, he fills it up with his helium tank and the balloon, another balloon, and the balloon goes up to the ceiling that we're in, or ceiling of the room that we're in. Then we get creative and we do a 50-50 mix, and that balloon levitates in the middle of the room because we've got a 50-50 helium mix and a 50-50 CO2 mix, and that balloon's just going to sit there in midair. Right? These are things that we can do and we can observe. Now, I come along, grab one of those balloons off the floor, I let it go, it drops to the floor. I pick it up again, it drops to the floor. I then pick it up and I rub it on my hair, and then I stick it to a wall. And it just sits on the wall. And I think to myself, where's your gravity now? because gravity was working a second ago when the balloon was on the bottom of the was on the floor. But then I just picked it up, gave it a static charge because I know I'm creating static when I do that because my hair goes all frizzy and crazy. And I took the balloon and I stuck it to the wall. So I know that gravity was present then, and now we've got a situation where gravity is being defeated. Or my friends, these are the questions that I'm putting forth for consideration at this point in time. I appreciate you guys for being here. Thanks for listening. I firmly believe that the jury is still out on whether gravity exists or not. Gravity seems to be something that just shows up whenever it feels like. Doesn't seem right. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But hey, we never know. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys so very much as always. Great chatting with you. Well, chatting with me and reading your comments. Last comment here from Chris. I see. Architecture, academic, we have just been evolving our styles. Real story. Slowly trying to get rid of the past technology with modernism. Well said. Etherbird, love the emoji. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so very much for being here. As always, just open your mind a little bit. Change your perspective. You never know when things might start to change. Love ya.